Okay. Yeah. No, hi. How are you? Not hearing me.
I can hear you. I was just muted.
Oh, okay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How's everything?
We're good.
Yeah. Mm. The teachers coming to this meeting?
They don't need
Oh,
to.
okay.
You're texting me. Three. Miss Moreno, 4.
Very nice. Ponte bien el... No, pero
right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm the only one who's unmuted, and I muted everyone and made it so that you can't unmute yourselves so that we don't get interruptions. If you have questions, the best way to do it is to type it into the chat. And I will try to review the chat as we go along, okay? I will be sharing my screen for most of the time, so you won't be able to actually see me, but you'll be able to see what I'm talking about, okay? So everybody give a big thumbs up. That's what we do with the kids. Give a thumbs up. Yeah, I only see a few. Thumbs up. There we go. Thumbs up. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start. I will share my screen. And I will start my slideshow. Okay, so welcome to the St. Cecilia School Back to School Night. And this is a little bit different back to school night than what we're used to. And I apologize now for my computer that keeps beeping like a doorbell. That's every time somebody enters the room, my computer rings like a doorbell and I can't turn it off while I'm in the middle of the Zoom. I have to do it before I get in. So our back to school night is going to be a little bit different than normal because we can't all be in the same room. In some ways, maybe that's good because we won't be all stuck in the hot hall right now, crowded in together. We can be in our own comfortable rooms. My presentation, I hope, will take a little bit more than half an hour, and then your teachers, most of them will have their own presentations tonight. I know Ms. Rosso told me she's doing it by email. She'll be sending out an email. And I believe one other teacher told me that they're going to do their back to school night meeting next week. So if your teacher said it's a different time, that's okay. You can go ahead and do it on a different time and it'll be fine. So first we're going to begin with prayer. So let's pray in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Gracious and loving God, we thank you for the opportunity to work together as a community at St. Cecilia School. We ask that you guide us in the direction you want us to grow as we complete our work this year. We pray for your grace in the upcoming year. We offer prayers for all who are suffering from illness and those who are oppressed. We ask to be placed in the loving mantle of Our Lady. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. And I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. The first thing I want to do is with the list of introductions, and I will be sending out this slideshow to you so you don't have to record it and memorize it. I'm also recording this Zoom meeting so that I can share that as well. So, but I didn't want to tell people that ahead of time because I knew they wouldn't sign in if I told them ahead of time. So I want to remind everybody that our pastor is Father Ramon. He's not with us tonight, but Father Ramon is our pastor. I'm Mr. Kelly, I'm the principal. Miss Moreno is our secretary. So when you call the school, the first person you're going to contact usually is Miss Moreno. Miss Hellstrom is our middle school social studies teacher. She's also the vice principal. Mr. Azara is our middle school's language teacher. Miss Macias is the middle school math teacher. Miss McCarthy is our 5th grade teacher, but she's out on a long-term maternity leave right now. So Miss Rosso is our long-term substitute in 5th grade, and she will continue to work in 5th grade probably until January. Miss Alvarez is our new 4th grade teacher. Miss Chow is our 3rd grade teacher. Miss Camacho, our 2nd grade teacher. Miss Ramos is our 1st grade teacher. Miss Recio is moved into a new role in our kindergarten. So she's going from being a mom and being a teacher's aide to being one of our teachers in kindergarten. Miss Vasquez has moved down into TK. So I already mentioned Miss Rosso is a long-term substitute. We also have 3 people who are working as instructional aides right now. That's Miss Anita, Miss Kathy, and Miss Maria. And of course, we can never forget Mr. Hovel, who is our custodian and helps clean up after ourselves. So the first thing we need to talk about is what's going on with COVID. And I'm thankful to all of you who have been understanding. Every time you call into the school and Miss Moreno says, you know what, Mr. Kelly says it changes every day. It literally changes every day. So we never know exactly what the rules are going to be for COVID. Right now, we are going to wait until the county clears us to be able to return to school physically. That has to be done by the state, and it has to happen when our county is off the watch list for 14 consecutive days. Right now, from what I hear from the Archdiocese, they're looking at maybe a January or December date. I'm thinking more like December, right? More like January is more likely. So we're hoping to return in a modified class at that time. There may be waivers possible for K through 5, but from what I hear with that, the paperwork with that is very extensive and it takes a long time to get through. And chances are, if that happens, it'll only happen a week or two before the rest of school can come back anyway. When we are able to return to school, we will be on a hybrid model. A hybrid model means that students are not at school every day. They're either coming Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, Thursday. That's so that we can split our classes in half, so that only half the classes at school at a time. The reason for that is if you look at our classroom sizes, if we have to keep the children spread out to the 6 feet that we're required to by the state, that's going to require only half the students, which is about 12 students fit in the classroom. There are a couple classes where that would work because we have small enough classes, but most of our classes have more than that, and so we will have to split them up. Right now, we are also exploring the idea of having a possibility of having daycare. What that means is the state is allowing us to have a daycare in the school right now with a maximum of 12 students in K through 5 with one adult. They have to be in one room. They have to be spread out. They have to wear masks the whole time. So there's a lot of very difficult rules with that. And so the only reason we would look at that is because some parents absolutely need to have their kids at school. So what they would do is they'd be in a room with an aide while the teachers are teaching in another room over the computer. So, and that would be very limited. If that does happen, it would be by invitation only, because we can't afford to have it happen with everybody. The other thing is it has to make enough money to cover itself, which means we do have to charge a daycare price. And I'm worried that that daycare price might be too much for what the families in our school can afford. And then for any way that we bring the children into the school, all health protocols have to be followed. That means that we have to take kids' temperatures as they come in. We have to ask them questions as if you're going to the doctor. I went to Kaiser just yesterday to pick something up for my daughter, and there were at least a dozen questions I had to answer before they would even let me walk to the building. And so we have to do that at our school as well. We have to make sure that we keep everything clean and sanitized regularly. We have to have bathroom protocols when the kids are going to the bathroom. We have to have one-way halls where kids are only walking down the halls one way so that they're not encountering each other. And just from the few times that I've been with kids recently, that's really difficult to do. None of them want to do those things. And so it's going to make our lives really hard in the future, but that's what we're looking for right now. So if we come back to school, those are the protocols that we will be following. And we'll give you more details on that when it gets closer to the time when that's what's going to happen. As far as attendance and grades, because I know a lot of parents are asking about what's going on with the attendance and grade. In the spring, we were pretty relaxed about things. Right now, we can't afford to do that for your children. Your children have to continue learning. And so that means that attendance in Zoom class is required. If your children cannot attend a Zoom class, if there's something going on, if there's a technical difficulty, you need to let your teacher know as soon as possible so that they can try to make sure that your children are still getting the work that they need to get done. And so the teachers also will have technical difficulties. I know earlier this week, there was a day when Zoom was not working properly. It was not us, it was the company's Zoom. And some of our teachers could not get online. And it's really important for teachers to let you know. So communication is really important right now to make sure that we pass information back and forth. Attendance is going to be taken daily in Zoom. And in some cases, for example, middle school, when the kids are switching from teacher to teacher, it will be taken from class to class. We've had a lot of kids who will show up for the morning Zoom with their teacher and then not be in their afternoon Zoom or the next Zoom. You need to attend all of the Zooms, especially those middle schoolers, because they're getting instruction in every single one of those. So make sure your children understand that. The other thing that we need to know is that in the spring, we were pretty relaxed on our grading scale. We gave a modified report card where we were telling what was going on in the school and telling how your kids were approaching standards. For this trimester, we're going to use our regular grades. Some of the things that may be a little bit different, normally at a Catholic school, your tests and quizzes are going to take up about 60% of your grade. We can't do that because we're doing distance learning, and it's hard to give a test during distance learning. So your children are more likely to be have heavy weight on their classwork and their projects. So be aware of that as well. And then let's see, next is the STAR. We are doing STAR testing. We did not do STAR testing in the spring. We are going to continue doing STAR testing, and some of your teachers have actually already started that. I know Ms. Vasquez has done that in TK. We're going to need some parent help administering the test, but remember that parent help doesn't mean you're taking the test for your child. STAR testing is very important to us because it helps us to understand what it is your children need to learn. And we can't know what your children need to learn unless we get their answers. You also need to understand that the STAR test is designed to ask questions that your children do not know the answers to. If they know all the answers, then it moves them up to a higher level where it gets more difficult. At some point, your children should be getting answers wrong on the STAR test. That's normal, it's correct, it's proper, and it's not anything on your child. So make sure you're allowing your child to answer the STAR test, okay? One of the STAR tests is reading, one is math. On the reading portion of the STAR test, it is very important that you do not read that to your children. Let your children read it themselves. If they get to the part of the question where they don't know the answer, they can make a guess and move on. All the children that have been in our schools before have taken the STAR test before, they know how to do that, and they know that they're allowed to make a guess. Again, if you have questions, if you put them into the chat, I'll get to them more easily. I'm going to keep everybody muted for now so that I can continue to move on. Okay. So I think I saw somebody had a question on STAR. If you have a question about STAR, go ahead and type that into the chat. As I'm waiting, I'm going to go ahead and move into the next slide. Zoom has many issues. One of the things that you need to be aware of is that when your children are on Zoom, everything that goes on around them, we see and we hear. I very intentionally tonight have a wall to my back. I have the wall to my back so you don't see what's going on behind me. I hope that you don't hear my son yelling as he's playing video games in the room next door. We have had some cases where we've had people walking through our Zooms in their underwear. We've had cases with people doing other inappropriate things. We've heard things that we don't want to hear. So please be aware that we see and hear all of those things. The question came through, does my child have a time to finish the STAR exam? Your teachers will administer the STAR exam. They just need your help getting your child started. The STAR exam itself is not a timed test, but every question has a time limit to it. Otherwise, children would take forever to take it. It should only take 20 minutes to take the STAR exam, maybe half an hour. So if your child is taking the STAR test, at the top of the screen, it'll have their name. If next to their name, it starts to have a clock there, you know they're running out of time for that particular question. They need to make a guess and move on. Okay, so that's a great question. Thank you very much. So again, I just want to make sure that we remember that everything that's going on in your house can be seen on the screens. And thank you for that welcome of new teachers. I appreciate that. I'm going to get into GradeLink in just a few minutes, so I will talk about that in a few minutes. Okay, while on Zoom, remember your child is in school during that time. They need to remain focused on the lesson as best you can. Now, I understand that a TK and a kindergartner, even a first or second grader, has a hard time staying focused on the screen for that long. In fact, it's bad for them to be on screens for that long. That's why I've instructed the teachers to make sure that they're taking breaks. So if your child is losing attention on the screen, that's okay. Allow the teacher to call their attention back when the teacher needs to. But please make sure that your child is not running around the room. They should be near the screen where they can hear their teacher. I have been in a couple of classes today where students have been yelling at the teacher, hey, I need to go to the bathroom. Well, usually if the teacher's talking at that time, it's not appropriate, just like it's not appropriate to do that in the classroom. If you really need to go to the bathroom badly, you get up and walk out and you go to the bathroom, and then you come back. If you've missed something, you've missed it, and it's your responsibility to make that up. So please make sure that they're doing that and staying focused. The reason why we tried to hand out as many of our own devices, and we handed out all but one of our own iPads and several of our Chromebooks, is because those devices do not come with distractions. They don't have games. They're large enough that the children can work on it. A phone screen is usually not large enough to work on. So that's why we handed out those devices. Please don't let your child be distracted in class. And then we've also had some issues where the children have been either using the chat in Zoom or other devices to text with each other during class. That's not okay, just like it's not okay at school. If your child was texting during class in school, I would take their phone away from them. So please remember that when they're on their screens in class, they are in school and they should be acting as if they are in school. And if it comes to the point where we need to put on uniforms to remind them of that, we will put on uniforms to remind them of that. The question is, when will STAR exams resume? Some of our teachers have already started STAR exams. We have a 2-week window to do STAR exams. They will be put into your schedules probably next week for most of you. And there's 2 tests for most people. Most people take the math and the language test. There's also a question about how long the breaks are. Again, that's going to depend on the teacher. It also sometimes depends on how much gets done in the STAR or in the Zoom classroom. Sometimes when you're giving instructions, things go quicker than you expect. Sometimes they go slower than you expect. So sometimes your teacher may give you a little bit longer of a break. Is it possible that a break could be 3 hours? It depends on the time of day. It's possible later in the day that could be a 3-hour break where the child should be working on their own work. And if you're finding that you don't think that the time of being in class is appropriate, communicate that with me, please, okay? The uniform, I'm going to remind you that we do wear a uniform, but uniform requirements are suspended for now. That means we're not going to require the kids to wear uniforms on Zoom unless, as I said, it's used to remind them that they're at school. And we may get to that point that we have to do that. But for the most part, your children have been pretty well behaved on Zoom, and they are aware that they're focused on school. So that's good. So again, when I send out this information or send out these slides, you'll be able to see what exactly is required for the uniform. Sorry, I keep looking at my other screen because I want to see what's going on in the chat. I can't see the chat on the screen that I'm working on. Okay, fundraising and service hours is a really important question for parents right now. Money is tight for a lot of us, and I understand that. I really do. It's really hard for me to require you to do a fundraiser or to do service hours when your kids are not at school and I'm not allowed to have you at school. Even when we return to school, you as adults are not allowed to come on campus. Only the kids can come onto campus. So we're going to go ahead and I'll have to rework what the fundraising and service hours are for this year. I want to remind you that there are some things that you can continue to do. You can continue to collect box tops. With box tops, if you go shopping and you buy something that has a box tops label on it, you use the app on your phone, the box top app on your phone, you scan the receipt and it'll find everything on that has a box top, and then it'll give us a certain amount of money that goes with it. If you're shopping online and you don't get a cash register receipt, you can actually still get the receipt that the store sends you. So like, I know my wife was ordering from Ralph's the other day and there were a lot of box tops items. With that, you take that and you email that to Box Tops. There's a email address for Box Tops, and they will still consider that. Ralph's also continues to do their fundraising where you sign up with Ralph's to be in your frequent shopper card, and you say that you want to donate to a specific charity. If you identify St. Cecilia School as your charity, we get a check from Ralph's. That's with you doing your normal shopping. Smile.amazon.com is the same thing. And before you couldn't use the Amazon app on your phone to do that, now you can. So if you go to smile.amazon.com and register St. Cecilia as your beneficiary, we will receive money for every dollar you spend at Amazon. And it's like 0.1 of 1%, which isn't a lot, but it's still comes out to be some when you buy it. So recently, I think we got a $25 check from Amazon. So those are all things that you can continue to do as fundraiser. Does that count as your fundraiser? Technically, it doesn't count as your fundraiser because it's actually not you. It's Amazon giving a donation to the school, it's Box Tops giving a donation to the school, and it's Ralph's giving a donation to the school, and it's really difficult to track. So, so no, you don't really get that. That doesn't go towards your fundraising. Ms. Chow is trying to get started with the Square One art once again that we did last year. That's where your children do an art project, and then we send it into the company, and then they will sell you products that have that art on it. That will count towards your fundraising. And we just got the packet for that today, and we'll be sending that out as soon as we can get it ready to go out to parents. We have to find out if we have to do it with hard copy or if we're going to be able to do it electronically. I'm going to check my my chat for a second to see if I can see. If you're having technical issues, you can always contact me or Ms. Moreno in the office during the day. We'll both answer the phone and we'll do the best we can to take care of those technical difficulties. Ms. Moreno's learning quickly, and usually I'm pretty good with it. If things are going slow, if your iPad's not working, just make sure you're letting your teacher know, okay? Okay, I'm gonna move on. Remember that you do have financial obligations. We are a private school, and we pay your teachers by using the money that you send to us. So the things that you need to continue to send to us, your fees, your registration fees, your, I know Ms. Moreno was sending out some information on people who had not yet paid their technology fee. All of those fees still need to be paid. Your tuition needs to be paid monthly. And yes, the tuition stayed the same. In fact, no, the tuition didn't stay the same. Our tuition went up very slightly. It went up $15 per student per month this year. We do need that, and it costs as much to run the school with distance learning as it does with the kids physically in the school. And we continue to have to clean the school whether or not the kids are there. And we have to do a lot of things that work that way. I just saw a question about CEF. CEF has not yet sent me their information on who's qualified. My best guess is if you were on CEF last year, you are definitely on CEF this year, as long as you got your application in. For those of you who applied for the first time for CEF this year, you're gonna have to wait probably another week or two before they let us know. For the most part, I've told Ms. Moreno that if you have applied for CEF and you're qualified for CEF, we will continue to charge you your tuition as if you were on CEF for right now. So for most people, that's the way we're doing it. So that's another good question. And so CEF is the Catholic Ed Foundation, and they are the part of the Catholic Church that offers scholarships for families in need. Daycare, you won't have any daycare fees because we're not doing any daycare, and we will continue to not do any daycare unless we do the school day daycare. And if we do the school day daycare, it will be during school hours. It will be from 7:45 till 3 p.m. Fundraising and service hours I've already kind of talked about, so we will try to find new ways to do fundraising. If anyone has brilliant ideas on fundraising that we can do at a distance, please send me an email, send Ms. Moreno an email so that we can go ahead and continue to work on that. And late fees, I hope those of you who were with us last year realize that if you're paying your fees late, Ms. Moreno was starting to charge a fee. That's something that was new, but it's something that we definitely need to do because we're not being very successful financially if we're not getting in the money that's due to us. So we will continue to have late fees. Technology. Your iPads every once in a while need to be updated. And I sent a video home in an email a while ago on how to do the updates on the systems software on your iPads. There's a few applications on your iPad that will not work if you don't update your iPad. And one of those is Zoom. Zoom does not work unless you update your iPad. So if you ever find that Zoom's not working, the first thing you should do is check to see if your system needs to be updated on your iPad. Sometimes your iPad has to be on the Wi-Fi to be able to do that. Sometimes your iPad has to be plugged in to be able to do that. So sometimes you can't do it on the run. If you need to have us help you with that we can do that. You can bring it into the office. It usually only takes me about 5 or 10 minutes to do an update on your iPad. It's not something we can do remotely. It has to be done while you're on the Wi-Fi at the school or at home. So make sure you do that. Remember that we need to have an acceptable use policy for the iPads. You need to continue to use the iPads in a way that is appropriate as if you're at school. We do have tracking on the iPads. We can see what's going on the iPads. We can see what apps are on the iPads. And it is also very important that you do not log into your Apple ID on your iPad. Your Apple ID makes your iPad yours. That iPad is not yours. It belongs to the Archdiocese, and so you cannot log into it. The problem is if you log into your Apple ID and then you forget to log out and you return it to me, I can't use that iPad anymore because I can't get into the system that I need to. I just got a question on how often should we update the iPad. That depends on Apple. Apple does updates on the iPad pretty regularly. The day I started handing out iPads, there was an update. 2 days later, there was another update. So if you're finding that your iPad is not working properly, that's when you should probably check your update on your iPad. Do not remove the covers. The covers are part of the warranty that we have on our iPads. All of our iPads have a wonderful warranty. If anything happens to them, they will replace them, but we do need to have the covers. I'm going to skip over GradeLink for just a minute and go to Google accounts. Almost every student in our school has been assigned a Google account. They have a Google email. I think the only class that I haven't done that with yet is the TK class. We use those Google accounts to log into a lot of the different apps that we use. You can use your Google account to log into Seesaw, which a lot of your teachers are using. It just makes life easier to log in. Especially in the middle school, a lot of times the kids are working on shared documents. Those shared documents are done through Google. And because of the way our system is set up, we can limit who has access to it to only the people who are in our system, which means you have to be logged in on your school Google account to get into the Google Sheets that everybody's working on or the Google Docs that everybody's working on. So really, you need to make sure that your kids know their Google account. You should know the password to your child's Google account. You should be able to access your child's Google account and see what they're getting in their email. You should be screening that, and that's okay for you to do. It's proper for you to do. It's what all should do is check their Google accounts. If you get locked out of your Google account and don't remember the email or the password, I can reset the password. I cannot look up passwords. So if I can reset the password and tell you you need to change it the next time you log in. So if you're having any issues with Google account, please let me know. And I know some people who are using their own devices are having a hard time with the Google account. We need to make sure that we work that out, okay? So again, anybody with issues on things technologically, I would really love to see you contact either Miss Moreno or myself in the office. You can call us, you can email us, you can just get a hold of us in any way that you can. And we've had kids call us in the middle of the day, and we'll take time and stop and talk to the kids in the middle of the day to try to walk them through their difficulties. And if we can't do it over the phone, we'll do it over Zoom. We'll get them logged into Zoom and we'll talk them through it on Zoom. Okay, so make sure we do that. GradeLink. GradeLink is our new grading system. It's our new student information system. We're using it to replace SchoolSpeak, and I did that a lot. The biggest reason I did that is because to me, GradeLink is a lot easier to use than SchoolSpeak was. So I'm going to go ahead and click on GradeLink here. And if you click on GradeLink, it'll come up to the GradeLink window, and you'll click on Login, if it lets me. I'm not sure it's going to let me. So I'm going to actually go into, I already had a window open for GradeLink. If I can get to it. My computer's not letting me access it. Hold on just a minute. I might have to, I'm going to unshare my screen for a minute. Okay. So now I am in the GradeLink login, and I've created a fake student for you so you could see what it looks like. You should have received an email from me that showed, actually here, let me see if I have it here. It looks like this. You should have received an email that looks like this. It's a GradeIn or GradeLink login information. If you scan this QR code that's up here with your cell phone, it'll actually download the GradeLink student app for you. Down lower on the page, you'll see the school ID, a username, and a password. There's one for the family and one for the student. The biggest difference between logging in for a family and logging in for a student is if you have more than one child, if you log in with the family login, you will be able to get into all of the children and just click on their names to change from child to child. If you're on the student login, you can only look at the information for one child. So now I'm going to go back into the GradeLink, and this is the information that was on that page. Our school ID number is 699, and it'll come as St. Cecilia School. If you forget, it's 699. If you start typing ST period space C, St. Cecilia School will pop up, and it'll change it automatically to 699. The username, if you look, I don't know if you noticed on the sheet that I sent you before, but it had capitals here. The username is not case sensitive, so capital letters and lowercase letters do not matter. The password I've already put in, so I'm going to go ahead and log in. And I don't want to remember this person's email. Okay, so this is the homepage of when you first log into SchoolSpeed or GradeLink. And if you didn't get a GradeLink login, chances are we have the wrong email for you in our system, and you should be calling the school tomorrow morning and letting Ms. Moreno and I know that you did not get it. So some of the things that you can see when you get here, there's communication. This would have any announcements that are coming from the school. That won't happen very often here because I'm more likely to send out an email for announcements. You can look at your class calendar. Your class calendar will have the school calendar, and you'll notice that there's a lot of holy days marked on here. The first day of school is here. The back to school meeting is here. And if I go on to the next page, you'll see food services starts here. We have Labor Day as a day off. So those are all things that'll happen here. Also, once the teacher starts to assign assignments that need to be turned in, the deadline for those assignments will show up on this calendar as well. The next tab down is grades. On grades, it'll list all of your classes that you're in. This child is only in middle school social studies right now, and there haven't been any grades right now. But if there were grades, it would tell me what the letter grade is, and then it would tell me all the different assignments that go into that letter grade. If you click on those assignments, it will also tell you what specifically happened on that assignment and if there's any comments from the teacher on that assignment. Assignments would show upcoming assignments and the details. Your transcript, once we've had this system in place for a year or two, your school transcripts will show up here. They will be unofficial transcripts, and you can look them up at any time. Alerts is a really cool thing. You can get alerts sent to the parent whenever your grade is higher than an A, or whenever the grade is lower than a C. So if you want to get a report every time you get a negative grade, you're going to mark that you got, anytime that you get a grade lower than a B in the class, your parent is going to get an email just to remind you of what's going on. So that'll help you keep it in touch with what's going on with the grades in your school. Discipline, if there are any reasons for having a discipline, oh, I don't want to say that, so let's go cancel. Actually, yes, I do want to leave that. There are no discipline entries. If there are any discipline entries that happen in the office where if I have to talk to a student in the office, I can put a log in here. You can look that up. For right now, we're going to skip billing and we're going down into service hours. In here, Ms. Moreno and I can keep a log of the service hours that you're given, and you will actually be able to see the date that you did something, how many hours were given to you, what it is you did, who you were doing it for, and whether it's been approved by the office or not. You'll see here that there have been 0 hours submitted, 0 hours approved, but 30 hours remaining because every family has 30 hours. So that's how GradeLink works. If you have more than one child, you'll notice that this child's name is Sample. If I click on Sample up here, I can log Sample out, but I can also, if I have more than one child, it'll tell me the other children's names and I can click to the next child. So all those things are up there. Great way for us to be able to communicate with you. So those emails were sent out for GradeLink last week. If you did not get one again, first of all, check your spam. Second of all, call the office and see if maybe we have the wrong email address for you in our system. Okay, so let me get back to my presentation. And we'll go on to the next screen. Let me make this full screen. Okay, food services. So we will begin food services again next week. Food services is going to be different than it was last week or last year in the spring. We are only going to be serving St. Cecilia students. It's not going to be for any child under 18 anymore. When you come to the school, you will come on a Wednesday and you'll pick up a bag that will have 5 breakfasts and 5 lunches in it. They will either be refrigerated or frozen. Depending on how long you're expected to keep them. There should be instructions on how to prepare them. We will have school staff out there to help distribute it. The Better For You staff gets the bags ready, but we have to hand it out with the school staff because we need to keep track of it. And you will be invoiced as normal. I did send out an email last week that told what those fees were. I don't have it off the top of my head. I know free is free. I know that I believe that reduced is about $1.20 per day, and I think that the full price is about $3.50 a day or something like that. No, what is it, Ms. Moreno? Tell me. Show me with your fingers. $3.75. Yeah, it's $3.75 a day. Thank you, Ms. Moreno. I can see you. You're one of the few people I can actually see, so thank you. When you do come to pick things up, please remember that we need to use social distancing and you need to wear a mask as you pick them up for the protection of the person who's serving it as well as yourself. So make sure that you follow all those social distancing rules. I'm going to go back and look really quickly at my chat to see if I'm missing anything important. Okay. Resend the email, GradeLink doesn't have a calendar. Your GradeLink should have a calendar. I'll have to double check on that. Your GradeLink should definitely have a calendar. So I will look at that. I can log in as you and see what it is that you see. So I will double check on that as well. Okay, so food services will start next Wednesday. You will get a week at a time, which means when you're paying for it, you're paying for a week at a time. You can't ask for individual days. It has to be the whole week. I don't know exactly what hours it will be yet because I haven't been contacted by Better For You Foods to see when their server will be there yet. So I will let you know. Okay. There's a really important question that just came up in the chat. If your service hours are rolled into your tuition that you pay every month on fax, I'm going to have to talk to Ms. Moreno about that and see how we can work that out. What may happen is that you're paying a little bit upfront now and you'll get reduced later in the school year, but I don't know for sure how I'm going to work that out. She and I are going to have to figure that out. But that is a great question, and I appreciate that. Okay, outreach concerning. We will be having our outreach concerns counselors coming again this year. They will be doing it all online, and so they will be focusing on academic and social concerns of the children. We've had a lot of children who have been participating in the outreach concern counseling. They go and talk to the counselors when they're feeling sad, when they're angry, when they're frustrated, or just when they can't focus on school. And there's so much going on in our world these days that it would be shocking if children were focused on school all the time. So if they need a little bit of extra help with the counseling, they can do that. For them to be able to go and visit the counselors, they're going to need to have a consent form filled out by the parents. We have hard copies of those that we'll be sending out, but there are also, there's an online way to do it that I just got that information today from Outreach Concern, and I will share it as soon as I can. I know you log into their website and just fill out the forms there. Once your child has the consent form, they also need a referral. The referral can come from the parent, the child, a teacher, or administrator. Any of those people can fill out referral forms. And again, those referral forms are available online or in the school office. We do have 2 new counselors this year. The counselors that we had last year have both moved on to new ventures. That's part of what happens with Outreach Concern. They're using interns, and their interns develop and grow and are ready to move on to another program. So we don't have the same counselors we had last year, but the bio of the new counselors has come in, and I will be sending that out as soon as possible so that you can get to meet our counselors also. So if you have any questions about Outreach Concern, go ahead and ask me later. But again, no, Ms. Ruta will not be back and Ms. Mendez will not be back this year. They have moved on to something new. 2 other programs that we're going to continue to use this year, LAFC, and you're asking me, how are we going to do LAFC when they come to the school and they play soccer with the kids and we're not supposed to have physical contact? LAFC is going to be doing an online version of their program this year. It's going to focus a lot on the character, because that's one of the things that LAFC does when they come to meet with the kids, is they talk about character. So they will have their teen mentors that are from the high school continue to talk to your kids about being positive influence, and it will be done on Zoom, and there will be an adult with the teen. We will not allow the teens to be there with your kids alone. So I know that might be a concern. And then they will also give your child some drills that they can do on their own in the backyard, in their, with their own ball, to practice soccer skills. So we will continue to do that. The registration information on that should be coming out in the next week or 2. I need to reach out to the contact person there again and see what's going on and when that's going to start. And somebody just told me that LAFC has notifications on the Remind app, so they're using the Remind app as well. And I know that I talked to them a little bit about maybe using Seesaw too, as a possibility of doing videos on Seesaw. So there's some new things to do, okay? For our middle schoolers, they are going to continue to work with Deacon Doug, who comes from the Avalon Carver Community Center. Deacon Doug does an hour-long class for each of our middle school classes on Fridays. That focuses a lot on social justice, on alcohol, drug, and gang prevention. The information for that was just coming out today again. So more information on that might be available during the middle school meeting tonight. I don't know if Ms. Hellstrom has that ready or if Deacon Doug's going to be in that meeting tonight. But the kids are excited. They love working with Deacon Doug. And again, right now, this is a very important issue for our students to learn about what social justice is. It's a key thing that's going on in our country right now. And so we're going to continue to work with the social justice. So if you have any questions about that, the information on that will be coming out. And again, for this program, we also need to have a consent form filled out for Deacon Doug. And the last thing I think I have for tonight is to remind you that we are going through accreditation this year. This year is the year we are supposed to be having our physical visit from the accrediting team. I don't know for sure how that's going to look right now. They're talking about doing it as a distance thing. The other thing would be that we could suspend it for a year, but I think I'd rather get our accreditation done this year. So last year, our teachers did a lot of work planning for accreditation. Accreditation is what we are required to have so that the high schools that we send our kids to realize that we are a quality school. We will be working on an action plan, and we will need some parent input from the action plan. Everybody needs to participate in this action plan. It's all designed to make our school a better school. So I just want you to be aware that that is something that is going on in our school right now. Okay, I think that's the end of what I have for today. So I knew it wouldn't take too long to go through everything, but I appreciate your time. It's great to see a lot of your faces on the screen that I haven't seen in a long time. I hope that we can continue to do things and continue to meet. And if you have any questions, please email me or call me at the office, and I will answer them as much as I can. I have recorded this session, so I will try to figure out how to post this session. I also will look through the chat and make sure I'm answering all the questions on the chat. It might be a private message that I send out to individuals, but I will go back and look at the chat. And thank you very much. I'm going to send you off to your individual classes. Your teachers, if they are having a meeting tonight, should have sent you their own individual Zoom. We're not going to use this Zoom with breakouts because that's just too much to work through, separating out 84 people into the room they need to be in. So one more time, thank you very much. Have a good evening. And if you have any questions, please call us at the office. So now I'm going to kick you all out. Everybody have a good time. I see that Mr. Azara just posted the middle school link, so if you need it, it's there on this in the chat. So I'll leave it up for just a minute so you can do that. Bye, everybody.